preserving our history, to me that was like fascinating. You know, it's a fascinating thing that there are people in our community that see the value of these artifacts and are preserving them, and then trying to take a private collection and make it public. I think that that is a very radical act of redistributing access and opportunity for people. And like, to me, then I'm like, oh man, if they are doing this in a stadium, like, there's so many more places that it can be seen, you know. But I also think that you challenge people to, or the family is challenging people to understand that like sports and athleticism is a big part of American culture. It's a big part of the way that people congregate and come together across boundaries and identities and, you know, all these other things. So being able to get people who typically are also kind of thrown away, to be honest, you know, or judged and saying, oh, athletes, what are they gonna care about, you know, art? To me, that was like interesting. That was a very interesting thing. Oh, we're gonna bring art and history to a space that typically people don't think of for the intellectual rigor of being able to appreciate and value that.
Thank you. That's actually a perfect segue. I wanted to shine a light on Jacques, and that's really the intention behind this panel, you know, and this discussion, is to really not only speak to what this, you know, environment that we're in here, but really to speak to how this shows up and how we are making space all around and through different layers and lenses and practices. But with Jacques, with you being, you know, perhaps in a position that is most germane to this venue and experience, you know, and given your experience as an athlete and now executive in association with the NFL, and as I mentioned, you know, a league that everyone knows has been struggling with, you know, on and off the field, how Black people are treated, you know, frankly. In regards to your work, and particularly how you have been working to illuminate pathways out, you know, outside of the sport, you know, what has been some of the things that you've been employing? What are the things that you have been looking to and approach in a way that illuminates this fuller sense of being for athletes, as well as the possibilities beyond the sport?
Great question. You know, I think without a doubt, I've had an opportunity to work in an organization like the Los Angeles Rams, who I know care about having this conversation. And so what I've come to find out is I looked across this room and we're having a conversation about Black African-American community. And there's a bunch of races in here, right? A bunch of different people, a bunch of different backgrounds. And like, to me, when you talk about what football means as a whole, more education and more understanding. I think we live in a world where, you know, I love what you said earlier about, you know, things being very binary. There's a lot of color. There's a lot of things that need to be explained. And so we're living in a world now where people are more open to having these conversations, more open to being in education, and honestly more open to evolve. And so when I look about what I do in my career, and my trajectory, like it's been one to be educated. And what I mean by educated is reading, finding different ways to understand what has come before me. You know, we always talk about, you know, the biggest predictor for the future is our past. And I think that we holistically, when I look at my educational experience, there wasn't much. I had to seek out the information I wanted to hear about us. And I think now I seek out that information even more. I'll give you a story of, you know, one of my favorite books of all time is John Thompson's autobiography, I Came as a Shadow. For those who don't know, John Thompson is one of the best collegiate basketball coaches of all time, coached at Georgetown University. And he wore it. I remember being a young youth watching him on TV coach Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning, Allen Iverson. And he always had a towel over his shoulder. And I just would always wonder, why did he wear that towel? Well, you know, not to ruin a book for anybody, somebody still should go get it. His mother cleaned houses. And so she used a towel to help clean it. So like, he always wore that in remembrance of his mother. And so, you know, when you hear how deep that story is, and here he is, this, you know, first generationally educated individual to bring wealth into the community, like that's what this sport can do has done for people like me, and can do for us. It's like I've had access to a life I wouldn't have without it. But also, I think that hopefully there's that young woman, that young boy that sees us and they see hope. But also, not just within football, right? Like, I hope you're looking at the executives. I hope you're looking at the CEOs, presidents, and seeing what you can be. Because football has an immense platform. We all know the highs and has on it. An immense responsibility. And I love what you said earlier, like there's been a lot of, let's call it, you know, chaos within the story of making sure that, you know, the Black community's been uplifted, especially as players and executives, and having the same opportunities as everyone else. I feel like progress is being made. And so, you know, just going back to what you asked me earlier about, you know, what did I think about the exhibit? I see joy, I see progress. But I also feel there needs to be more uncomfortable conversations that need to be had, just like we're having right now. And so, you know, I want to continue to be one of those people that speak up and have those conversations in the right way so that we can continue to have progress.
Thank you, Jacques. You know, you spoke about your favorite book. I'm going to share mine. I was given Gordon Parks' A Choice of Weapons as a teenager, and it changed me in a lot of ways because I was able to realize that I had agency in my decisions as far as my contribution to progress or to the fight, right, for the movement for Black lives, and that activism shows up in so many different ways. And it's often the things that we are already doing, right, or the things that we're passionate about and have some sort of talent in. And that's what I think about a lot when I think about you, Lasha, you know, and what I didn't say when I was introducing you is that when I see you, I do see Phyllis Wheaton, right? I see that history, I see that legacy, I see that brilliance, and I see that your choice of weapons is your talent with your brilliance with the written word, the spoken word. As an activist, you know, what first compelled you to use your voice and perspective in this way? And you know, very specifically, who do you most hope to reach, right, in with your voice, and how does that hope inform your work and practice?
Thank you for that. That's a very kind word to offer for me. I appreciate it. I think for me, one of the things that I've been trying to do better at, I was talking to Bianca about this, was pushing back a little bit on the title of an activist. And that's because I want people to know that I'm a poet, and that the legacy and the tradition of the Black radical tradition is one of which we've always been engaged in our communities. We've always done that work, and it's not to be reactive or to respond to an issue, but to remain steadfast in your commitment and how you show up for communities, so that when there are problems or there are issues, it's second nature to respond or to be in relationship with those issues, with that community. Like, I never had the feeling of inadequacy or need of outside validation, because my elders, my community, the people that were around me were very much involved and engaged, and I saw Black brilliance. I sat at the feet of, you know, one of the last poets is my godfather. I got to watch Maya Angelou read for the first time and see Lucille Clifton read and Ishmael read. You know, these are people that were accessible because of public programming that was in New York City at the time. And so I would run to any place I could go that they were at, and I could see that we weren't just, you know, an accessory. We were integrated in the culture and in the way of life in our communities. And so there's a sense of pride, right? When you have such a rich history and culture that you're aware of, and you want people to experience that. You know, you want people to know that So when there's violations against your community or people from your community, it is a violation against you. You take it personal. It's not just that black person over there or this person over there. It's like, what? Who are you trying to come for? You're coming for a people that know who they are, that know where they come from, that know the brilliance and beauty of their range. And I think that's why the Kinsey collection is so important and necessary for it to be accessible to people, because when it's commonplace, when it's just there and the air you breathe, you're not seeking something else to validate you. You know that you are a part of the fabric of what makes things run and what makes people possible. So you know that there could not be that big NFL executive without you, without the story and what you've contributed and your people contributed to this place, right? And so then you walk a little differently when you come into the space. Then you ask and demand different things of your life and your community. And so I think that that's just the role of being a very engaged human in one's lived experience. And then there's other things about being a poet that has taught me about curation and organizing and a demand for beauty that everybody should have access to their bread and their roses too. And that it's not too much to ask for beauty. It's not too much to ask for a warm meal, a roof over your head, health, clothing, shelter, but also for the ability to dance and sing and to play and paint and to dream and to wander and to sit lazily throughout the day just looking at the stars or the sun. That these are all things we're all entitled to. And so I think that that's what I find to be what anything I do in the world that is seen as activism or resistance or rebellion, it's really just immense love for my people. It's so much love that it's overflowing, it's abundant. I can't have anything else but a decent life. And I can't live okay if I know you struggling, because now I'm like, damn, all right, okay. I want you to be happy too, then I'm not gonna be worried about you. I'll be stressed out, so let me shut up. Thank you.
Tell us, sister.
Thank you.